I can't tell those others anything, Harry. I can only confide in you because you're so trustworthy, and everything you've ever done for me and the royal family has brought us nothing but happiness and joy. And in fact, who needs a birthday? Because you're my birthday present, Has. You're my birthday present. You're my little favourite, aren't you? Oh, yes, you are. You want a sweetie? You want to wear this original from Granny?
The display from Prince Harry over the last couple of days has been nothing short of a study in arrogance. So much so that I'm going to give his arrogance its own title, Harrogance. From this day forth, Prince Harry's arrogance shall be known as Harrogance. That's what he displayed. It's also a study in his tactics going forward. We see it now, in full display, vulgar, laid bare, the way that he is going to build his empire with no punches pulled, is to continually do this, to continually bait the media, drop these little acid drops into conversations, seemingly so sincere, so naive, so innocent, but poison underneath, poison. So on a glorious occasion like today, Her Majesty's 96th birthday, when it should just be glories, 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 fondant fancies in the press, what do we get in the news? Harry! We're going to be discussing that interview with Prince Harry, and I'll be giving you my opinions on it, but it is the glorious occasion of Her Majesty's birthday, so I will be talking about that just for a couple of minutes, because I can't really drag that out for half an hour, can I, my dear, or 20 minutes? So unfortunately, I'm going to have to mix the mirth in with the madness. So, happy birthday to our beautiful Queen. So delighted for this 96 years that we've had you. The royal family shared this beautiful photograph of the adorable Princess Elizabeth at 2 years old. And then we were treated to this absolutely magical photo of the two horses in celebration of the Royal Windsor Horse Show, which I believe Her Majesty's attended since 1946, something like that, never missed it. And these are two of her fell ponies from the estate at Windsor Castle. Their names are Bybeck Katie and Bybeck Nightingale. We've been talking about the fact that Her Majesty likes to avoid conflict and drama at all costs. She's got better things to do, my dear. Not bothered, not bothered. And horses and her passion for horses really sum this up, because she would much rather spend her time reading the Racing Post rather than any other tabloid drama. And to know this about Her Majesty is to understand her. And it's also a nice reminder for me, because sometimes even I forget the difference between celebrities, prime ministers, presidents, the rest of the world, all that kind of chaos, and royalty. Okay, there is a difference that should be celebrated, in my opinion, and embraced. And this was such fun. Her Majesty's been immortalised as Barbie. Isn't this jolly? Presented in a box that is inspired by Buckingham Palace. You get a 3D inner panel showing the throne and the red carpet and everything, and there she is. I don't know what about you, I think it looks more like her Helen Mirren incarnation. Don't you think, when she did that film of the Queen? It looks a bit more like that. But not a bad job at all, and flattering. Love the high hair. All that lacquer. This limited edition Queen Elizabeth II Barbie honours the Platinum Jubilee, and the makers, Mattel, this sounds so ghastly and woke. Why do they all have to dress things up like this? It sounds like a Meghan Markle statement, but they say it reminds girls that they can be anything they want to. There was a big blurb that they trussed up coming out with this doll. You know, I'm sure it's all fun, but it reminds girls that they can be anything they want to, anything they want to do. Well, sadly, the Queen couldn't be anything she wanted to do, could she, my dears? That was her destiny at the age of 25, to become Queen, and she didn't have much choice in the matter but to give over 70 years of her life and her service and her dedication to us, despite what she wanted to do, and despite all the fun that she and Prince Philip were having out in Malta, enjoying the romance of young life, being princess. No, she had to give all that up, my dear, and come cut ribbons and attend dinners and shake hands with 6,000 million people and give us her, share herself with us for all this time, for all those decades, my dear. Hasn't she done a magnificent job? She sure has. And she had a 41-gun salute fired by the King's Troop in Hyde Park. And indeed, I did pull out the old pink kimono today. What do you think, my dears? Isn't it divine? I've been threatening to wear it for a while, and I was waiting for the right moment. But I thought, well, it is the Queen's birthday, so I'm going all guns blazing today. I know it's a bit over the top for some of your taste, but I don't care, do I? I don't give a flying fuck. I like it. I think it's absolutely divine. And trust me, my dears, if YouTube didn't have certain rules and regulations about nudity, I'll give you the full shimmy, my dear. I'll give you the full glimpse, because my behind looks fantastic in this. Absolutely fantastic. My embroidered buttocks under this this silky sort of kimono negligee looks stunning. I've got my diamonds on in my ears. I've got another new ring that came in the post today, which is very elegant. Green there with diamonds surrounding it. And the jewel in this crown is the wonderful articulated butterfly brooch there. What do you think of that? Trying to get it in the light there. Beautiful brooch. So yeah, feeling highly sexy. Might have to summon a prince. On Wednesday morning there were photographs of Her Majesty arriving at Sandringham. Gorgeous, gorgeous Sandringham in Norfolk. And specifically Wood Farm, because she's going to be staying there. Of course, it was famously the Duke of Edinburgh's favourite retreat. It's so secluded, it's away from time and space, a little magical sequestered glen for them. A haven where she can receive visitors over the weekends, close friends and family, believed to be paying her some calls over the weekend. But we've already learned from Harry that she's not particularly bothered about her birthday, and it seems dreading it, because he's been feeding us little bits of that kind of information. More on that later. Speaking of horses, I'm quite thrilled to tell you that there's a lot of celebration coming up for the Platinum Jubilee. They're making a real meal out of it, as they always do, which is great, because it really reminds people every 10 years how much fun the royal family can be, and how good it is for the spirit of the nation as well. Sometimes you need those little injections, those little shots, you know what I mean, for the British public, to remind them why the royals are rather lovely to have around. Because who can resist some fun and a party? Anyway, one of the things going on is that Royal Windsor Horse Show are going to mark the Platinum Jubilee with a gallop through history, a spectacular equestrian display showcasing horses from across the globe. It's a personal tribute to our monarchy, with 500 horses and over 1,000 performers. And it's going to take us on a journey from Queen Elizabeth I to present-day Queen. I'm sure you'll be joining me in sending all of our wishes to Her Majesty for a splendid birthday. Hope she's not in lots of pain. If she is, stuff her full of drugs. Whatever you've got to do, my dear. Get her soaring, flying high on the clouds of all that kind of candy if she needs to get through the day. Sometimes it's got to be done, hasn't it, my dears? But now, turning to the subject of Haribo. The arrogant one. Oh dear, dear, dear. Horrid press coverage from today. Absolutely horrid. I was surprised, because usually you get the usual suspects popping up and defending him, and I'm sure they'll be set into motion to do that soon. But awful coverage everywhere. Everybody saying that his delusion knows no bounds, accusing him of breathtaking arrogance. And I didn't think he would be getting that much criticism, because lots of people, unlike most of us, can't read between the lines. They see these interviews and think, well, he hasn't said anything harmless, he wants to protect his granny, he's doing that. But those of us who know, don't we? And we can see the arrogance through the lines, we can read between the lines. That's what you have to do with him. Before we look at what he said, I want you to understand that I know that all families have these kind of dynamics. I mean, who's got the perfect family? If you have, good for you. But most of us have family dynamics that will involve resentments, some bitternesses, sibling rivalries. Most people are human, so we all have that, and I don't expect Harry not to have that, and I don't expect him to behave immaculately at all times. I don't, do you? My issue is that he plays all of this out on the world stage. I'm quite sure that everybody else in the family, from quiet, serene Anne to silly, foolish old Andrew, to Lady Louise and the Queen Mum. The Queen herself, I'm sure they all have their off days, dear. But they keep it to themselves. They understand the importance. Not just because it protects the Queen, but because it protects the nation that love their royal family as well. It means a lot to the people of this nation and the Commonwealth. I'm going to start with the most sickly thing that he came out with. You've got to laugh at this. Oh, he's such a white knight, isn't he? Arrogance has. He's such a white knight. He's so special. Just like his wife. They are just such diamonds. He said the best thing about the Queen is her sense of humour. I can imagine that's true. And we have a very special relationship. We talk about things, he said, that she can't talk about with anybody else. We talk about things she can't talk about with anybody else. He can't bear the fact, can he? That he ain't the heir to the throne and never was. He was always the spare. So you might think that you are privy to her special musings, but I'm afraid Big Willie, as our future sovereign, has a very, very special relationship with Her Majesty. I'm quite sure she loves you equally. Of course she does. But you are not to be king. You are a Montecetan resident. But let's not pretend you're royalty anymore. They don't call you has-been for nothing. He is so trying to make himself oh so relevant. Who cares about Charles, Wills and Catherine? Who cares about any of them? He's the new Prince Philip. He's the new special one. Oh, whisper, whisper, whisper. I can't tell those others anything, Harry. I can only confide in you because you're so trustworthy, and everything you've ever done for me and the royal family has brought us nothing but happiness and joy. And in fact, who needs a birthday? Because you're my birthday present, Has. You're my birthday present. You're my little favourite, aren't you? Oh, yes, you are. You want a sweetie? You want to wear this original from Granny? And as I said to you yesterday, the fact is, Harry has been famous since before he was born, probably 6 months before he was born, or, beyond speculation on who was going to be the spare. He's been famous throughout his life. He knows there's no such thing as a throwaway comment. He knows that the press are hanging on every word he says, which can't be fun unless you make it fun, like he's making it for himself. They're waiting to pick apart everything he says. So he knows this. And if you want any evidence he knows this, well, he told this interviewer, what was her name? Hoda Kotb. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Kotb. Hoda Kotb. Hoda. He told her, but before the interview, because they discussed a little of what was going to be said, she said, because I saw her interviewed afterwards. And she said he told her that he knew the comment. Actually, he might have told her afterwards. I can't remember, and I can't be bothered to check. But he told her that he knew the comment that he made about the United States now being his home would make a splash. And a splash is used in the tabloid industry, the newspaper industry, to represent what's going to be splashed on the front page news the following day. So he knows that we know that he knows we know he knows. You know? I can only surmise from this passive aggression that Harry seethes with jealousy at Big Willie. He gets to be king, he gets to be tall, he gets to be broad, he gets to have a beautiful wife with a wonderful figure, he gets to have all the glory, he managed to get past all the miseries and pain in his life with maturity without inflicting it on anybody else and is beloved of the family. He's got a big cock, he's more learned, he's more intelligent, everything that Harry wishes he could be but can't, I'm afraid. And it's really sad that at 37 years of age he can't get over it. I mean, I ask you. She asked, "Do you feel peaceful now after 2 years living away from the kingdom?" He said, "I don't know how many people feel truly peaceful. At times I feel massively at peace. But with everything going on in the world and trying to help and trying to use the platform, the influence, to try and steer people." Did you notice he said that? To try and steer people. And then he quickly said, to try and help. Interesting wording. She asked him about the kids. He said, "We love spending time with the kids. It's wonderful. It's all about fatherhood." But then you could sort of read between the lines, because he said, well, this whole working from home stuff is not all it cracked up to be when kids are working in the same spaces. Well, in that place, in that complex, in that vast arena that you have there at the Casa Montecito. You can't find a space away from your kids. Reading between the lines, I do sense some frustration. Could just be me, some frustration that they're cooped up there because, they're so concerned about their security. They can't really go anywhere ad hoc. And he's not getting to see as much of the world as he used to get to see. So I imagine that he must be tearing his hair out at some points, cooped up with them all the time. And this was very interesting, wasn't it? He said he's got great community in Santa Barbara. Everybody welcomed him, took him to their hearts. And he said, it's home for me. It's home for me for the time being. Threw that in there as well, didn't he? So is he seeing it as his forever home? For the time being. Stay there. One has to admire his gameplay, my dears. You have to admire it from the standpoint of his strategy, because he knows that when you dangle these carrots, when you just give these little tidbits, that is what the papers are waiting for. That's what they're going to gobble up, and that's what's going to keep him in the news. He needs to stay in the news. And even something like Invictus, which I was praising a couple of days ago, and I've given him plenty of praise for the whole arrangement and always would. Even something like that, which got positive praise everywhere, seems like that didn't stir up quite enough conflict on the front pages, did it? Maybe just positive happiness doesn't do it for him. Because if he wants this peaceful life and just get on with the job, helping people, well, he did that last week. He did that at Invictus, and it was a success. It was a success. But somewhere inside, the arrogant one, he still feels the need, doesn't he? To get stirring. Get stirring the pot. Not that kind of pot, but if the cap fits. And he was asked about Her Majesty's birthday, and instead of just saying nice, he had to let us know that after a certain age, you get bored of birthdays. You get bored of birthdays. So, basically hinting, from what I can tell, that she had told them over tea, I can't really be bothered with all of this birthday nonsense. I'd rather ignore it, which I can completely understand, can completely see her saying. I don't think he would have made that up. She's not into all this fuss. She'd rather just do stuff with her horses and be done with it. I really do believe that. But you don't share it with everybody. There's no need for that. It's not royal, and you would never get other members of the family chucking out those tidbits. Maybe I'm being unfair. I don't want to pick every single word that he says apart if it isn't necessary. So, I do urge caution on going too over the top with it. But you see, he makes it difficult for you to trust everything he's saying and not see it as some passive-aggressive utterance, doesn't he? Because we see quite clearly when he does do it. So it just makes you question everything he says. This is the trouble. It just ends up being this ball of confusion. And he says he's trying to make it possible to get the kids to meet her, and there's all sorts of concerns that he has to iron out if he's to come to the Platinum Jubilee. So he was asked if he missed his family, and she did specify she wanted to get the juice out of him. She failed in a way, but she said, do you miss your father and your brother specifically? And he quickly turned it and said, well, family, but he refused to say their names. Now, I've got to say, I actually commend him for that, because there's no point in lying. If he doesn't miss them, I'd rather he didn't lie and say, oh yes, of course I do. So he made it more general about family and quickly switched it just to say, well, my focus is on my kids and my life in Montecito at the moment. So I didn't actually have a problem. I know other quarters in the press brought that up, but I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind it when he's just honest. The press talk about Harry's delusion, and the point where I witnessed his delusion in full flight, and it's really quite sad to witness, quite sad to watch, is when you can see him not being able to come to terms with the fact that he is no longer a working royal member of the family. He's refusing to accept it. And he is telling you the narrative. He's telling you that he's still a royal prince doing royal service. He can continue serving. He can, but it ain't royal service. It doesn't matter how he dresses it up. And he said, well, you have a new focus. No, it's not the same, talking about when he moved abroad. He said, it's the life It's the life she signed up to as well, meaning Meghan. He suggests they're still leading the life she signed up to when she married him. Committed as a couple, doing this forever. No, what you're doing now is not what you were doing then. When you were in the royal family, you wouldn't have been permitted to merch and besmirch. You wouldn't have been permitted to, reel off memoirs and diaries and slag off your family and get involved with all kinds of vulgar practices. You wouldn't have been allowed. So don't equate what you're doing now, the good and the bad, the Invictus and the bench. Don't equate what you're doing now with what you were doing then. You can't handle it, can you, Harry, my dear? You can't handle that you got evicted. Start trying to accept it, my dears, because you ain't fooling us. Because of circumstances, we've moved that life of service to the States and we'll continue what we were doing before. So in that regard, nothing's changed for us. Very arrogant when he said that. Very arrogant. He could not handle being told by Charles and William, whoever it was. He could not handle being told, you're either in or out. You cannot continue the way you were as a member of the royal family. This is his way of telling them, yes, I can, yes, I will. And I'm going to show the world that I'm more fabulous than you and I'm the rightful king. Hey, Kenya! The interviewer also mentioned, I noticed, that Meghan had left Invictus in the Netherlands before Harry. She'd taken an aeroplane home before him, so she was obviously dying to get away back to something more glamorous. Well, I suppose, to be fair, she was missing the kids, but, they hadn't been away that long, had they? I know it's difficult to be away without seeing your children, but couldn't she have waited a day or two more? I don't know. He said it was refreshing to meet the Queen in some element of privacy, which is not something that we need to know, is it? You see, he tells us all this information that isn't royal, we don't need to know, but he wants us to know that he feels that they have no privacy, that she's surrounded by people, the grey men, as Diana might put it, surrounded by these wicked influences on her that are keeping Harry away or smiting him, this, that and the third. It is hard not to chuckle at, he's got the cheek, the absolute gall to talk about privacy when it comes to Her Majesty. After all his bleatings and the upcoming memoir, which will probably turn into a trilogy and a series and a movie and all kinds of shite. And in part of the interview he speaks about Diana, that he still feels her presence, and even more so over the past couple of years, which I think is rather a nice thing to say. He feels she's watching over her. And, the way that he put it, he said, well, she got William set up. I feel she got William set up and now she's helping me. Well, I'm not going to pick that apart too much. I don't want to read too much into that. But again, you kind of got the feeling that he had spent all those years, I did anyway, I got the feeling that all those years when William was setting up home with darling Catherine and the kids were coming along, Harry was still having a very hard time, I think that also was an era, despite how well he seemed to be getting on with his brother and Catherine. I think that was an era as well when he thought, wow, Big Willie really does get it all, doesn't he? He gets it all going for him, falling into his lap. I think it only heightened his sense of resentment. And now we learn that he even thought that Diana was looking down, guiding Prince William. He must have been, praying to her, well, what about me, Mummy? When are you going to look after me? Well, he seems to say that she's looking out for him now, and she provided him with the Markle girl. Oh, Diana, dear, please. Really? Her? Oh, she's coming through. Oh, she tried. Yes, with the Cressida girl, or Cressy, yes. Oh, and Chelsea Darby, you tried. She tried again, I'm afraid. But Hazo wasn't listening, so what could she do? Thank you, dear. Love is like a butterfly, as soft and gentle as a sigh. The multicolored moods of love are like its satin wings. I've had enough of this nonsense for today, so I'm going to get comfortable while I'm in my kimono, my dear. Summon Prince Charming. Yes, it's your birthday. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know about you, my dear. Sometimes one has to attend to the needs of a princess, So have a glorious day. Forget about has-beens, forget about them, think queenly thoughts. 96 fabulous years. Wonderful, just wonderful. Have a glorious day, my dears. See you in the next broadcast. Put on your pearls and your jewels for Her Majesty today. Give it a whirl, your tiaras, your fannies, whatever. Give it a whirl. See how it makes you feel. You never know, it might make you twinkle. If I made you chuckle, feel free to send me a little tip in the tip jar. And I'll see you soon, my lovers. Ciao for now. Oh, Princekins.
Trouble in your mind, babe, why can't you just tell me? I just wanna be your bride, wanna